Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How we doing? Happy Thursday.
And the
last day of November.
Historathon. Last day.
Why does it go so fast?
I'm pretty sure I read 2.5 historical fiction books.
Hey, me
There's
too.
no rules.
Me too. I read exactly 2.5 historical fiction books and DNF'd 1 nonfiction. And that's
There
it.
we go.
I read 1 nonfiction, but it was the middle grade one that was like this big that we read for our middle grade March book club.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to see. I got to look on my Goodreads. I don't even remember what I read.
I did read 1 nonfiction that was super good.
Which one was it?
It's called Tailspin by John Armbuster. It's World War II, so it's like it kind of fit in with me getting in the mood of Historathon. But it is a true story based on a bomber pilot who is from Wisconsin. So
I remember you talking about it in one of your recent videos.
oh my gosh, I can't talk about it enough. It's so fantastic. So
That's great.
yeah,
That's cool.
I didn't win Historathon this year, but I did fine.
If I finished my other book, I would have gotten 1 prompt from each of us, but I didn't finish it.
That's all right.
So. Oh, well.
I didn't even because I don't think Crow Mary hit any of the prompts.
It hit mine based on a true story.
That true story.
Well, I got that one then. I don't think I got one of Lindsay's prompts then.
Well, mine was favorite author because it's Kathleen.
Oh yeah. I guess technically it could be.
Yeah. It just needed 1 more word to hit yours then. We could just call it
Right.
The Crow Mary.
Well, and I read Bluebird by Genevieve Graham that hit one of my prompts. So yeah. And then I read half of the Warsaw Sisters, which is
amazing.
amazing.
I have that.
You have that?
Uh-huh.
It is so good.
No, I have the Warsaw Orphan. Different. Who's the author of Warsaw Sisters?
Amanda Barrett?
Sounds right.
I think it's Barr. Let's see.
That sounds about right.
How about everyone watching? How did your guys' Historathon go?
Barratt. Very, very good.
All right. I was doing great until I read A Memory of Violets by Hazel Gaynor, and I do like Hazel Gaynor, but I forget how much she slows down my reading.
Oh.
So then I was like, I wasn't quite going quick.
Just kind of like reading slump, or just it was hard to get through the book?
It just was. I didn't necessarily want to pick it up all the time, yet I wanted to know, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's how it was written. It probably was, because it just took me a little bit more brain power, if that makes sense, to read it. But I had also just come off a middle grade book. So now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, no wonder I had a problem.
And you read a lot of thrillers that are more fast-paced and exciting. And so historical fiction is just, you gotta sit in it.
Yeah. Slows me down slightly, but I loved everything I read. It was good. And I really loved Crow Mary.
Would you rate it? Would everyone rate it?
Oh yeah. So in the comments, comment if you read the book, and also tell me what your rating was.
I gave it 4 stars.
4 stars?
I gave it 4 stars.
I gave it 5 stars. I just loved it.
To me, it wasn't as compelling as The Kitchen House. So I was like, and maybe it is, I read The Kitchen House a long time ago, a long time ago. And something about The Kitchen House just drew me in, and I was hooked. And this I felt was a little bit slower paced and a little drier than The Kitchen House. As dramatic as it was, it just felt a little bit more spitting out facts than as story-ish as The Kitchen. I don't know if that makes sense or if you agree with that or not.
Really quick, don't mean to interrupt, but baby's going down for a nap. If you guys want to see him.
I want to see. Oh my goodness. Stop it. Oh, and hi, gorgeous husband.
Oh my
You made a beautiful baby.
I'm here.
Oh,
my.
You're muted.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
Oh, man.
Lights? You looking at the bright lights of the screen?
So precious. Oh my goodness, Gloria. I'm so happy for you
I
both.
just want to cuddle him. Oh my goodness.
He's a pretty cuddly, squishy guy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you guys are so cute.
I miss having newborns. But then they grow up into snotty kids and they're not nearly as
Do not teach him how to talk or walk.
move.
Just
sit
but
around
when they're like toddling
or
around.
growing is frowned upon too.
All right, babe. You can go down for a nap. Thanks.
Thank you for showing him to us.
Oh my goodness, he's so sweet. So sweet.
Sorry. Intermission. Back to what we were saying. Kitchen.
Okay.
Here, just in case you need further proof, yeah, 3's rough. Kelsey, I agree. Like, just keep them little.
Yeah, someone was like the right before they hit 2, like before they start before they start talking, but they're walking, they're like still adorable. And I see a lot of those cute little ones coming into the library. I'm like, I can't wait till he's like toddling around, but doesn't have an attitude yet.
Yes.
Well, and I always, because I work in the nursery at church, and I always tell them, I was like, I will go up till 2 years old. That is the highest age I will go. Because after 2, they're naughty on purpose. And I am not down with that. I get that at home. And I do not need to take care of other people's kids that are naughty on purpose. Pass.
Right.
I did kids at church too, and that was that was like 2 years ago. It's a good stepping stone into and we did pre-K, so we did like 4 or 5 year olds. And there's such a range. There's like really shy kids, and there's kids who are like the most well-behaved, like most adorable, and I'm like, your parents are doing something right. And then there's like the troublemakers and everything in between.
Right.
I know people that are like, I am a kindergarten teacher. I'm like, and best of luck to you. Bye.
I have a good friend of mine who's a kindergarten teacher, and she's a little older. She's like, I think I might be out of my kindergarten phase. I think I'm ready to move on. Like 4th grade sounds good. Like, yeah.
I mean, 4th grade is a drama, though.
Not as bad as
I have a 4th grader this year, and it is not as bad as 3rd grade.
Yeah.
But
I feel like the odd years are the tough ones.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Anyways, moving on. So Jennifer agrees with Amanda. The entire time she kept thinking, I wonder if it would hold up, which
I was really hoping to read The Kitchen House right now because I've never read it before, so that I could compare these two, but life, so I didn't get to. But I read the first chapter of it. I tried a chapter of it and I liked it. So I do still want to read it, and I'm curious what I would give it because everyone gives that book 5 stars. I'm wondering if it'll hold up now.
And I
feel like you tend to go against the crowd, though. So, like, if everybody gave it 5 stars, you're going to be like 2 stars.
Probably. I just, I don't know if this sounds, this doesn't sound bad, but I feel like maybe when The Kitchen House was written, it was a newer story, right? It's like the slave perspective. And I feel like there's just so many more books that are doing that now or have done that I've already read. So it's like, maybe it won't be anything new for me. So
the other thing I was wondering, because as I was like reading through the author's notes in here, she was so respectful to Crow Mary's family and got input from not only the family, but also the, what did she call it? Like the Crow Nation, the elders, I think. So I wonder if that impacted.
Yeah. Maria says she felt like Crow Mary was written to match the story and The Kitchen House wasn't. And that can make a big difference. If she's trying to write specifically to this one account, that really stifles the creativity of how big she can make the story. Whereas I feel like with Kitchen House, she could blow the roof off the place, which she kind of does.
Right. With Crow Mary, she wanted to really stay with like the major timelines. I mean, her where she got creative was what with her friend. What was her name? Jeannie.
Yeah.
So
And I
that
feel like that's
not-
what brought it down for me to a 4-star. It was it's true to the story, and that's so I respect that. It was still such an interesting read and really interesting perspective. But I did get bogged down a little bit with like nothing really happened. Like some stuff happened, but I'm like,
It could have been
I wanted
way more
more.
dramatic than it was. Like you get that prologue at the beginning, you're like,
Yeah.
oh crap, something's about to go down. And then it like doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait. I feel like that was a little bit of a teaser that like never really like.
Yeah.
But I feel like things went down.
I mean, it did, but
it was
really.
like off page, like it wrapped up,
Right.
Yeah.
Like when she went to like, so the whole premise of the book is her going in and like freeing these women. And it's like, she just walked in there and was like, they're with me and peace. And then I'm like, but
what happened?
Fight a little
like
bit
guns
more.
blazing. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know.
And then like the villain, are we getting into spoilers?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
We're all kinds of spoilers.
That was also off page. Like he's the main bad guy that we're waiting to die. And, the grandpa just comes in and goes, we did it.
Yeah.
Taken care of.
And that's what
I was like, what happened?
Cliffhanger part of the prologue. Like, it wasn't even her. Like,
right.
What?
I also liked it though that like she finally had somebody that had her back. Like,
yes. No, and I do agree with that. I'm not saying anything about that. Like, I really did like the grandpa and all of that. However, I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting, really well done. I liked her as a character a lot.
Loved her.
I think it's really cool.
I loved, and I'm looking through like the book club questions from Kathleen Grissom's page, and one of them talks about like it is in such a interesting time that this takes place, and so we have these laws of the nation that are forcing the Crow people as well as many other Native Americans to you either adapt and follow our rules or you die, like, or your customs die off. Like she, I feel like, was able to find a place to live in the middle. Like there were certain things she wouldn't give up, but yet she had an understanding for both of them. And I found myself conflicted with like wanting the survival part of like, just you got to do what they say, yet be who you are. And I felt like you couldn't, at some points, you couldn't be both.
Yeah. And I think her husband brought that up towards the end, especially.
Yeah.
When it was in relation to like her brother, right? Yeah. He was like, they can't do this anymore, which is so sad. And it's just like, it's all kind of a gray area. It felt like obviously Native Americans were mistreated, but they also didn't want each other. Ooh.
Hi, Emily.
Crumble opened today. I bought 6 cookies and they just came home with 6 more.
Hey, we didn't get all of them. We got 3
you just got 3 chocolate.
Oh, hi, Max.
That's a good intermission too. I wish we could all get a cookie.
I know, right?
You're teasing us.
Thank you.
Go eat your cookies.
All right.
Shut the door. I'm sorry. They were so excited to be like, we thought the same.
They're so cute.
How do you guys feel about the relationship, the marriage?
I was okay with it. Only because the other guy she really liked was
right. That was so sad.
If he had been alive and she really didn't want to like go through with the marriage or whatever, like I would have been like, I would think I would have felt differently about it. I feel like that's how marriage was back then. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying like that's the way it was. Like there wasn't a lot of options.
Yeah.
And so to be kind of like, I know her dad kind of arranged it a little bit, but eventually they did fall in love and they did rely on each other until he, you know, became an alcoholic. But up until that point, like, they were a team and they were in it together, and he had her back and she had his back. And I appreciated that he was respectful of her traditions and her customs, and up to, you know, until he became a total anger.
Right.
But for the first part, you know, when they were establishing their relationship, he was very respectful. And I think I would have felt differently about it if he would have, like, on the wedding night been like, nope, you're staying in here and you're doing this. And he would have been more domineering than he was.
Yeah. I think it was another, the like part of me that I'm like, it stuck to the true story. I'm assuming he was actually an alcoholic that died, and that's all sad and depressing. I was like, I wish there was more like creativity in this, that he had more of a redemption story or something, you know, like it was just, it got very sad and then just stayed sad because he never got better. And like right after, like after the trial, I'm like, you're just kind of this like sad character that I'm just like, it's inevitable of what's going to happen here. Or like the tease of like, he got clean for a little bit. I was like, okay, great. This is the time that he's going to like turn around and like do something. And then it never happened. So again, true to the story, I'm sure true to actual events, which I can respect of what the author did there, but it did make me sad.
Yeah, it didn't. It could have been.
It was a downer.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that trial just killed him.
Yeah.
Well, and I totally understood her point of view with the whole trial thing, because she's like, let's go get him. And he's like, no, we can't do that. And she's like, what the heck not? Like, and I think it just showed to her, like, if we do it though, you know, their way, nothing's going to be done. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. And he so desperately wanted it to work, to show her that, like, if you go through the proper ways, justice is served.
Yep.
Yet it wasn't.
No.
Yeah, Jane brought up a point that said the whole parts about traveling around and like the trial was really slow in the book, and I agree.
Yes.
So like I kind of was like, that just felt more like she included it because of its historical accuracy, and there wasn't like nothing propelled the plot of the story.
And I think that was my biggest issue with a lot of the book, was that I just felt like nothing was happening. I know stuff was happening, but for the most part, like, I just, like, I know stuff was happening, but it was not a propelling plot.
Yeah.
After you got past, like, when she saves the women.
Yeah.
Right? Like, after you get past that, it just like goes.
And I think that's where, like,
take our kids, that's propelling.
Well, yeah, but that was like, that wasn't part of the like overarching plot, right? Sure. Like, it was an event that happened, and that part for me in and of itself was probably the most like part of the whole book. I don't think that outside of that one thing, like, I don't know. That being said, I still gave it 4 stars. I still enjoyed it.
I know. I'm like, I don't know, the way you're talking, it's maybe you didn't like it as much.
No, I still really enjoyed it.
No, I agree with you in some points, Amanda, for sure. But I mean, like, that's why I think like it's titled Crow Mary. Like, it's about her. It's less of like a plot or an action-packed book, and it's more just like what was her story and her resilience through everything that happened. So that was the compelling part. And I think Jane also mentioned she learned a lot. I feel like I learned a lot too.
Yeah.
Like,
my gosh, I learned so much.
And it was a really cool perspective, one that I've never read from in historical fiction before, even from like a Native American perspective. I thought it was really well done.
And this is such a Wisconsin thing to say, but I'm like, okay, well, this like climate wise is not that different, and it's freezing outside, and you're just hanging out, like, because I was reading it, and then I would take the dog for a walk, and I'm like, all right, Crow Mary is way tougher than I am, because I'm like so cold.
For sure, it is so cold.
I also like Jane's other comment. Love it. Her story of grit in general. would have been less work. Yeah.
Yes.
If he's a good guy all the way through. Absolutely.
true.
Yeah. And I
I don't need a good guy all the way through. I
No.
just like I like arcs.
like yes,
Redemption.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But that's humans, I guess. Not everyone.
Yeah.
Not
Humans
everyone
like
gets one.
to close the loop. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Did this put anybody down any sort of rabbit hole to discover stories that maybe may have happened in your own area? Like, city I live in is named after an Indian chief. Like, kind of want to know more about it and be like, why did we pick his name? And I don't even know that, and I live
That's
here.
half the cities in Wisconsin, though. You're not
This is
special.
majority. But again, he must have done something to have a city named after him. Like,
No,
We
I-
have tons here, all around.
no,
Oregon.
I didn't get into a lot of the local stuff.
sure. I definitely want to read
Sorry, go
more.
ahead, Gloria.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I haven't done a rabbit hole, but there is a ton in Oregon, like rivers, cities. So much stuff is named after indigenous names. Like I live in Clackamas, and just a lot of stuff.
Right.
I think we're more like known for like Oregon Trail and like Lewis and Clark stuff, but there definitely is a lot of named things around. But I haven't really read any historical fiction that's set here besides ones that are like on the way towards the Oregon Trail. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I know I was looking at my shelves and I'm like, I have a lot more books that I haven't read that have a similar subject. Although I've read a few, like I'm reading this called, and it's not the same, but I'm reading this Calder Range at the same time as I was reading this, and I was getting way too confused.
Yeah,
because they're both like traveling. At one point, they're both traveling to Montana. I'm like, wait a second, I can't do that.
Yeah,
this is way too confusing. So,
did either of you guys read Where the Lost Wander?
Yes.
By Amy Harding? Oh, you have. Okay. It's been a while, but I know that there's like a big chunk of the book that she's with like the natives there too, and it kind of felt similar, like unpacking of things. And this year I read 1,000 White Women that also had like a kind of similar-ish feel.
Yeah.
So for those that really loved this or really liked it, there's definitely a few books that I feel like can evoke the same feeling.
I was going to bring that up. I was actually going to say 1,000 White Women as well. And then there's another one called These Is My Words. It's a diary by May Dodd, I think.
No, May Dodd is 1,000 White Women.
That's so These Is My Words. But she talks about going west.
Where did I put
Nancy Turner. It's the diary of Sarah Agnes Pine.
That problem where I don't know where the book is.
I know,
somewhere on my shelves.
Right. Oh yeah. Another good point that Maria brings up: surprised the children's experience when they were taken literally to a school. Guess you were expecting worse, because we've heard that it's been worse in certain instances.
Yeah, it definitely was. I thought it was really interesting that her daughter chose to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, no, I appreciate the education here, and I want to be a nurse, and this is where I need to be, and I'm fine. And I was like, okay.
But again, maybe it's because she lived on that
precipice of
right.
Yeah.
She wasn't fully in, just a tribal culture, or wasn't fully, she was the product of her mom and dad. Like,
yeah,
kind of made sense.
Cool.
I know Andy keeps telling us to read Sacagawea. Do you know how big that book is?
I was going to say, isn't that like 1,000 pages long?
It's big.
Is it historical or nonfiction?
Yeah.
Or is it historical fiction or nonfiction? Biography?
Andy can tell us.
Andy will tell us.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure. I do have Goodreads up, so.
Oh, Leah read These Is My Words. It's historical fiction. Sacagawea is. Oh, she's
There we go.
It's out.
Ooh, Follow the River is another good one. It's an older book by James Alexander Tom.
So Sacagawea is historical fiction.
Yes, it is. Okay. Go back to our book.
Yeah.
And I don't have any other great questions because we talked about justice. Oh, the alcohol component of it caused a lot of conflict in the novel. Discuss its impact on people in the novel and how you feel towards the characters who sold and drank whiskey. You think there would have been another way? Because I know he kept bringing it up that like he needed to sell whiskey because it was like that's just what you do.
They want it, and if they don't get it, then they're
They'll
gonna
go somewhere
like
else.
they'll go somewhere else.
And at least I'm being fair.
And I just I don't know.
I think it's like, this is an extreme, but it's kind of like a drug dealer just being like, yeah, I'm gonna do it to like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, it's like, it's detrimental. And I think if you were truly like, take a look at yourself, you wouldn't do that. You would know that it would cause havoc in a community, but he was doing it to make money. And like, you know, and saying like, well, at least they're getting it good from me and not from the other people, but it's like, you should just not be selling it at all. But I know it's all like a very gray, morally gray area there.
Messy.
Yeah.
Well, and it's hard because like I don't know. It's hard because the natives didn't, or the Native Americans didn't know that. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say, but like at a certain point, like they could have said no, right? Like it was their choice to take it. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of like equate it to a liquor store owner today. Like there are people that are going to take it and abuse it, and that's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Maria has a question. What did they call the guys that killed the buffalo with the strychnine? I think it was wolfers.
Wolfers?
Yeah. I hadn't heard of that either. I feel like I've heard of it in some book that they did that, which is terrible. But I don't know why wolfers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they call them that either.
Maybe it's like associated with like hunting.
Maybe
because they're like hunting down the. Yeah. I forgot why they did it.
Wait, no, they would lace buffalo with strychnine and then they'd kill wolves for their for the pelts, for the fur.
Oh, so the wolves ate the buffalo.
Because remember that's how
died.
Like
the dogs.
Some people's dogs would do that. Yeah.
Right. That's true.
That's what it was. And then oh yeah, see Jane,
keep
Jane's got it.
Line. You need it.
Yeah, they would eat the meat and die, and then they'd sell those pelts.
And I remember, I think it was Crow Mary that was like so flabbergasted or whatever that like they would waste an entire buffalo for wolves, right? Like for pelts. It's like, no, we use the whole animal.
And what she would explain, like what they used each part for.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah.
As it's like hunting season here. Anyways.
Do you guys, are you guys Midwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have buffalo like still around?
We just got buffalo put into one of our county parks.
Oh, just wandering around?
They're just, well, there's like a specific area that they are contained to, because obviously you don't really want them around a lot of people.
Yeah.
But you can drive through and see them and stuff.
We do, but that's just on a game farm that's like, it's theirs. Like, it's not like they're in the wild. But I
Right.
don't think buffalo were really into Wisconsin. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they were.
I need to go visit Yellowstone. No, Yosemite. Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
When
And
we were in South Dakota, that was like one of my favorite things, was finding the buffalo.
Yeah.
Oh, they were so cool.
They're huge.
yeah, I feel like that would put a lot of what I've read into perspective.
They're huge. And there was people who were, because we're in Custer State Park, and there's people out like in the fields, like trying to like get pictures. I'm like, what?
You're
You're stupid. Ah.
You deserve whatever's coming to you.
Right.
People just don't respect nature, and it drives me nuts.
So do you think Crow Mary was able to stay true to herself throughout her life?
I think she was pretty strong. I think she was very much like, she knew who she was. She knew what she was willing to compromise and what she wasn't. And she stuck up for what she wanted and what she needed as well.
And I think she trusted her instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, maybe her husband obviously had issues, but maybe deep down he was a good person and she felt that. And then obviously right off the get-go, I forgot his name, Stiller. She got a sense that he was not a good person, and he wasn't. And so I feel like, and even with like the butler or the guy that took care of, like, she followed like her gut, I think, a lot. And I feel like that is in essence staying true to yourself. Like, you follow your instincts and you can get a good read of people.
I forgot about the butler. I loved him.
Yeah, taking care of her, taking care of her daughter and her drunk husband all the time.
Right.
He was so loyal to her too.
Bert. It was Bert, right? It was the butler.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing. I mean, again, like this book a lot, I have a hard time when it jumps timeline.
I was just going to ask what you guys thought of the timeline.
And I think it just covered too much in too short of a time. Like, for a 300-page book, 350, or less than 350, it covered a ton of time. And I feel like we got some in the beginning, and we got a little bit of like when the kids, obviously stuff going down then, but then a lot of it was just jump. And I feel like I'm just someone who wants more time, or like not even more time, but I need more details of the in-between.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. It made it hard to follow, the development of the story.
Yeah. And again, made it more seem like, we're hitting points of the historical accuracy parts.
Yeah.
But the author, and again, respectfully, she didn't really add flair or her own kind of parts in between. Like, she probably could have come up with whole different scenes and stuff to add to the story, but didn't want to add something that didn't actually happen, which makes sense. But from a reader perspective, and from like the excitement of a book, that lacked for me a little bit.
Did you listen to it, or?
I listened to it, and I'm really glad I did, because there was so much pronunciation that I just would have completely not gotten at all. So I'm really glad I read it.
I physically read it, so I wasn't like, I was able to, I think, keep with the timeline, because it was literally.
I will say that is one difference between the audio and physical reading, is when there is big jumps in time or date specific things that are going on, because you're seeing the date. And so it's like, okay, I know this is this time, that, whatever. Whereas if you're not really listening really closely, the chance of you missing that little date is very high.
Yeah, that's true.
How was the narrator?
Really good. I really liked her.
Yeah. I was trying to remember who narrated it. But yeah, no, I agree. It was very, very well narrated.
Especially, just a lot of the indigenous
Crow
language.
language.
Yeah, Crow language, pronunciation of all of that really brought to life the story for me.
And that I just, make up in my head.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Right.
That's what I'm doing right now with Warsaw Sisters because it's all this Polish.
Mm-hmm.
It's set in Poland. And I'm like,
the Polish.
No idea what any of these words are, so we're just making it up. And that's okay.
Oh, and it doesn't it doesn't say like a sentence later, like explain it. Doesn't some books do that? Like they'll say,
oh yeah, what it is, and then it'll say like what it meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't really do that.
No.
In the Polish book.
No. Because it's like street names or like the name of the newspaper or, like things like that where I'm like, oh, the Washington Post. Like, I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
Or different names.
What kind of readers would you recommend this book to?
I would say it would be for somebody who is into U.S. history, like little known U.S. history, women's history. Definitely people that are more character driven than plot driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. People who like one timeline or like not dual timeline, one perspective.
Yep. Strong female character.
Strong female character. People who want, I mean, some people I'm sure specifically look for like indigenous history or little known history, like you said.
This is the second book that I've read now where the author, because I got to get it right, the author talked about how she came across a historical site.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of where it stemmed from. And I read 4 Treasures of the Sky. Same thing. Like, author saw a historical plaque somewhere and is like, write a story about that.
Inspiration.
Right.
Somewhere. I do appreciate the fact that she did go to the family and, wanted their approval before she wrote it because she very easily could have just done her research and juiced it up and done whatever with it. But so I will say there is something to be said about that. As much as I think that it stifled the book, I do also respect that, especially in the day and age that we're in, where we're looking for own voices. Even though this isn't own voices, it has that stamp of approval on it, which I think goes a long way for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I'd almost take this over if she, not saying Kathleen would have done this, but compared to a book where they maybe took a story and didn't do the research and really went crazy with it. I don't know which.
Yeah.
Research is key for me of enjoying historical fiction. Like, I almost won't like the book if there isn't an author's note or the author's like, this is what it's based off of.
I know, my daughter's like, I never read the author's note. And I'm like, what do you mean you never read the author's note?
It sometimes just makes me enjoy the book more, makes me take it to the next level.
100% of the time, I appreciate the book even more after I read the author's note.
I Was Anastasia by Ariel Lawhon. The author's note is what made me love that book even more. Just saying. Yeah. Just throw that out there.
There are a lot of books out there that I felt that way about.
Yeah.
And the fact that, not that I want to, it's just because I'm reading it, the Light and Hidden Places, her author's note comes complete with pictures.
Oh man, that's the best.
It's just, I don't know.
It's best author's notes.
I think especially for historical fictions based on true stories, I want to know why this.
Where does it differ? Where did you,
When she was really transparent about having that other character, Jeannie, which I thought played a pretty huge role in the story for Mary, but was a fictional character, yet she wanted to bring in that role of friendship and specifically the connection between two women, which I thought if she went to
I thought that added a lot.
it added a lot. And then her struggles, Jeannie's struggles, like trying to have a family at the beginning, and
it brought lightness to the story for me, because again, we need, if you're bogged down with people kind of, it was like Crow Mary versus her whole situation, we needed the friend, we needed like a hopeful character.
But then there was the where were they, was it which one brought her the rum?
Jeannie,
yeah. And the whole
and they got like drunk,
like
partied it up.
we're gonna teach you a lesson. Like, let's have some fun. What happens to Amanda when I'm with her? Careful.
Is that what happens on BookTube Besties weekends?
I mean, she does like to liquor me up.
I do.
Just saying.
Someone will finally.
It's all her fault.
Lies. Anyways,
we're not the greatest influences on each other.
No.
So there's that.
All right. Last question. Kathleen Grissom wrote, "My hope is sharing Crow Mary's life is that others are given insight into this courageous woman's life and that it inspires them as much as it did for me. Did Crow Mary's story inspire you at all?"
I mean, I think, like I said before, my biggest takeaway from this was how confident she was in who she was, and knowing when it's okay to bend and when it's not. Like, there are certain times in life where you do not compromise. You stand your ground and you do, what is right, or how you were raised, or whatever you want to say about it. Those are the things that you're going to stick to. And then there are other areas where you can give a little and you can embrace new things and, whatever. So I just really, that was my biggest takeaway from it.
I like I took away from it, like, that she was able to live in these two very different worlds, but only because she took the time to understand.
Yeah.
Like, she understood the differences, and she understood not necessarily what she had to give up, but how she needed to approach, or how she needed to show up in each of them, still being true to herself. But I kind of want to say, like, what role she played within both worlds.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I liked, for me, from the book, I took away, I think I learned a lot about the Crow way of life, and like this like moment of history that I would have just otherwise never have heard of before, which is my favorite thing about historical fiction reading, is I love learning about an event on like a micro level, like like not just like the war happened, or there were Native American people in the US that were treated terribly, but this is like a micro event and based on a specific person's life. And I feel like, I just learned a lot from that specifically. And I really like, for the most part, these stories that focus on singular female characters. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of them that just have been popping up in my life. And I feel like historical fiction is focusing on them, like Yellow Wife by Sadika Johnson, or The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn, or I read Well Behaved Women by Therese Ann Fowler.
Okay,
like,
what did you think of The Diamond Eye?
I know you loved it. I gave it 4 stars as well.
I loved
it. Oh, Mira like,
you talk about a badass.
Yeah, put her and Crow Mary together. Those two could get some shit done. Like,
sorry. No, I really liked it too. And again, the author's note took it to the next level. I was oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It did feel a little like unbelievable. It went into the little bit of like, okay, she's definitely pulling stuff here with this like thriller and like this guy trying to kill her and like
Yeah.
like, okay, sure.
Right.
But it was really interesting.
Correct me or call me crazy, but I feel like so we've all been on this like or there's this plethora of World War II historical fiction novels out there. And I feel like the next plethora of books are either going to be indigenous in nature or Vietnam.
Vietnam is coming up a ton in the next
Vietnam
couple of
in there.
years. Kristen Hanna's new book is Vietnam. I think Ruta Sepeti said her newest book is going to be Vietnam.
Well, and
Ooh.
Dustchild was just Vietnam. What was
Yeah.
the one I read?
There was another
The
one
Mountain
too.
Sing?
What?
The Mountain Sing? Is that Vietnam?
Oh, The Mountain Sing was Vietnam. Yeah, so I'm definitely seeing a lot of Vietnam.
Which is cool. I have yet to read any historical fiction about Vietnam, so I'm excited.
Samesies.
Oh, the
And
Dust
one of
Child
my
was
really
really
close
good.
friends growing up came from his parents came from Vietnam.
Oh, the illiterate daughter that was
Oh, your
to me.
local, the
Yeah.
Laos.
Laos. Yeah, that was really good. Guys,
How are you guys ending the year with reading? Any historical fiction on the horizon?
No,
I
need a break.
have. What'd you say?
I need a break.
I only read a couple this month, and so I'm in the middle of the Warsaw Sisters, which is so good. In case nobody has heard me say that. So I have that one, and then I also have Looking for Jane. I want to read before the end of this year.
Really like that one.
That's on the Goodreads, right? Nominee.
Yes.
Possibly, yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Let's see. What else did I have that I wanted to get to? I don't know. I feel like I want to read a Kelly Rimmer.
Yeah, that would be a good choice.
So I
find it interesting. There's two. So The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson and Looking for Jane are both Goodreads finalists, and they're both like very similar subjects. Okay.
Yeah.
And Wayward is under historical fiction.
Yeah, people are raving about that book.
I loved it. I don't know if it's
a historical fiction.
It has historical elements, but like
fiction.
I didn't read a single book from the historical fiction awards this year, which is sad because I've read so much books from 2023, and I'm like, what? I've never.
I know.
heard
I went
half
through the
these.
Goodreads awards, and I was like, didn't read that one. Didn't read that one. Haven't read that one. Like, there are very few that I had actually read. It's like, well.
Oh well.
All right. So tell us what your highlights were of Historathon. Did anybody have a 5-star read?
Share in the comments.
Let us, in the comments. Let us know what your highlights were. And what other books did you read, Gloria?
I read The House is on Fire by Rachel Beanland.
How was that?
I really thought that one was going to be in the historical fiction ones. That was good. It was like 4.25 stars.
Oh.
I give 5 stars very rarely these days, but it was really good. Multiple perspectives, interesting, kept me on my toes. I was like very, plot forward book, but with a good author's note. I like the micro history of like a theater that was set on fire in Virginia and like the events that unfolded from there. And I thought the characters were surprisingly really well developed for them being 3 perspectives and a normal size book.
Sure.
So I liked it. And then Jane, I think, did I like it better than Florence Adler? Because we read Florence Adler together as a buddy read. And I did like it better than Florence Adler.
How did you like Florence Adler? Is that the one Florence Adler Swims Forever?
Mm-hmm. I think I gave it like 3 stars or 3.5. I just, in general, don't love books about grief.
Okay.
And that whole book really explores grief.
Yeah.
Like a family member dies, and these are the ramifications from it. And for some reason, I just have yet to come across a book that I'm like, that just does it well for me enough that I'm like, yeah, I loved my time with it. Usually I'm just kind of like, okay. I think I personally just thankfully haven't really been affected by death and closely in my life. And so for me, I'm just kind of like, and with my faith, I'm like, I don't know, if someone dies in your life, like I have hope that like there is
There's
a life
something beyond that.
There's something beyond. And so shouldn't be like the most devastating thing in the world. Obviously, if it's like tragic and, you know, a young person dies or something, you know, like there's things, but yeah, I don't know. I just have a hard time reading about like grief and death and mourning because I'm like a little bit, and my personality is like, get over it. But I'm like, that's terrible. But that's why I have a hard time in it with books. Sorry, it's a bit rambling.
No, it's totally fine.
But yeah. What about you guys? What else did you read?
I read Bluebird by Genevieve Graham.
Yes, I have that one still checked out from the library. Was it great?
It was not my favorite.
What
Which is
about
gonna
it?
make Melissa really mad.
I say
I know.
It'll
I'm like,
finger
the
in your-
expectations for it to be great are really high. I like the first chapter a lot.
Don't go into it with super high expectations.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right now. It's not gonna blow your socks off. It's fine. It is a good book. It's fine. It is not like knock me off my seat, favorite of the year.
Yeah, I like the first chapter a lot. I tried the first chapter, but I was like, this is a short book. How much is going to happen in this short book? And there's a lot of focus on like romance, and I'm just like,
Which is probably why it was Melissa's favorite, because she is in historical romance, which great for her. And I'm glad she loved the book. And that it just was not one of my favorites. I greatly, greatly preferred Sharon Cameron's Bluebird to that one. So still highly recommend that one.
Does that one like live up to Ruta Sepetty's level of YA historical?
I would say yes.
I think so.
Okay. I need to put that on my next to read. I just really need to read a good book.
But I also think not knowing what it was really about, I just thought it was a World War II historical fiction, and it's mostly I don't know which is
after. Yeah.
But it's mostly post World War II. So there are pieces of it that are during World War II, but not much of it.
Not much.
The vast majority of it is post World War II.
I need to get my hands on it.
I read The First Ladies by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about Eleanor Roosevelt and Mary Bethune. So based on true story, I loved it. But if you're not into politics and what happens behind the scenes with politics, maybe not for you. But I love that
Your
stuff.
husband isn't the mayor.
He is. I actually just got a text message. Why isn't the mayor and his wife in the parade tonight? Like, because I have
this book club.
Anyways, so I thought it was great. It does have some politics involved, but I feel like this Historathon, I read so many books by really strong women, or about really strong women, like First Ladies, like Crow Mary, The Diamond Eye. I read The Lost Year about the Ukraine famine. Oh. You ever read that, Gloria?
I did. I only gave it 3 stars, though.
That makes sense. That tracks. Like that. I mean, it wasn't 1 star.
No, it was good. It was good. And let me tell you, I'm here for books about Ukrainian history because there's not enough of them. So
I'll take a 3 star. I think I gave it 4 stars.
I immediately told I know a couple 5th grade teachers, and I'm like, you need this book in your library. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
It just, for me, it was another one of those like micro events. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And because it happened right before
micro, but for us in the US, we were never taught about it.
No, kind of had her own.
And the
shit
Soviet
going on.
Union wasn't really allowed to talk about it either. So
Correct.
everyone knew it happened, but no one really addressed it. So
And I
we
mean,
didn't
we
really
were
hear
in
about
the-
it.
We were
The
in the
U.S.
midst
has
of
never done that.
we were in the midst of a Great Depression at the time, so I mean, there's that. Anyways, it was so good. The cat's attempting to.
Well, thank you for the discussion, ladies.
I know this was really
Thank
great.
you, everybody, for coming and for reading this with us and participating in Historathon again. Yeah.
It's great. Till next year.
Yeah, till next
Next
year,
year.
keep reading historical fiction. Keep telling us what you're reading. Keep recommending books. The reason I'm reading Warsaw Sisters is because someone, I don't remember who it was, so if it was you, thank you, jumped into my Instagram DMs and said, oh my goodness, Amanda, you need to read this book ASAP. And it just happened to be after I had just finished a book. So I picked it up and I love it.
Well, and the reason we read Girl Mary was because it was a recommendation during our reading
One of my
retreat.
retreats.
So much
Keep
better.
recommending books to us. Yeah,
Right.
much better than last year.
Much
But
better.
We're
I
just
did
getting
not like last year's book.
awesome.
I don't think many people did.
No.
Wasn't
And that's
just-
okay.
You're not going to win them all.
Nope.
That's okay.
No.
But all right.
Well, thanks,
thank you
lady.
so much.
Thanks for hosting with us. And yeah, keep the Rex coming, my friends.
Yeah. All right.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Bye, everyone.